You guys just disappeared on the stream.
I was gonna,
I
I was gonna say I just saw
was
Taz's face.
like, where did you go? OBS, what are you doing to me?
I see you guys perfectly. So
Like on the stream?
It's on the
yeah,
stream.
perfectly. On the stream.
Yeah.
I have the stream open on the side, and both Manny and I have disappeared.
The fuck?
How about we figure this out
At a
when
later
we're not
Ah, there
recording?
you go.
How about we do this when we're not recording?
We're good. We're set.
Okay.
Don't worry about
All
it.
right.
What are you so worried about?
Up
You're
until
such
we
a-
disappear
but
again.
You're such a worried guy, man.
All right, so this is episode 8, the Randy Pitchford appreciation episode, is what we're calling it.
Randy Pitchford. Clap, clap.
I have a phone call from my real estate agent.
Is that Randy Pitchford?
All right, Dr. Randy.
Oh my god. You know what? We're still doing this. We're still doing this.
Yeah, why
Welcome
not?
to welcome to Not Quite High Score. This is episode number 8. Deep's not here, and I can say what I want. So this episode is dedicated to the only people that listen to us. Deep's
His girlfriend
brother.
/ brother.
That's right. And I know what you're thinking. Total number of, let's see here, 3 viewers, which I'm guessing I'm one, Jas, you're one, and there's probably Manu is the brother / girlfriend. I mean, frankly, it could be the same person, but at some point in the podcast, the truth will be revealed. But yeah, we are 3 cousins. We talk about video games, and I get asked sometimes, are we like blood cousins? And I'm like, yeah. And I feel like we need to come up with something that really personifies that and like doesn't confuse people, like something original, I guess. And I was like, maybe we should call ourselves the Bloodline.
You have
I
to
think
raise your finger up, Taz.
I think that's a name. That's original. Number 1. We
There
are.
you go.
There's no one else using that entire moniker. So I think we should be pretty okay.
Yeah. And since you are the older one, we should call you our tribal chief, right? Because you sit at the head of the table.
I mean, we're Indians. We're known to be tribalistic in some sense.
Oh,
So I think
God.
it makes sense.
we
I'll
need
just-
Manny to reel us
Okay.
back.
Manny's gone. That's it. It's over.
Oh,
Manny's gone and he's not coming back. I'm sorry. He went to go buy milk and he never came back.
Daddy, no.
But yeah, what do we got today, man? We got Randy Pitchford. Should probably have his mouth duct taped and mittens soldered onto his fucking hands so he can stop typing and engaging people online.
Yeah. And then there's also EA that was supposedly developing a Black Panther game
Yeah,
and
which
decided to
well, I mean,
cancel it.
we'll get to that. But honestly, I heard that news and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh no, they canceled the Black Panther game." And I'm like, "What Black Panther game?"
Yeah, it
Not,
was a
to, not to
surprise.
be not to be confused with that Captain America and Black Panther game, mind you. So that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other things that we're gonna to be touching up on. So since Deep's chair is the only thing present and he's not here, how about you start us off with what you've been playing?
Well, besides Clear Obscure, I haven't really been playing much. I do have.
We're a gaming podcast, right? I need you to kind of. This is bad content. This is not a good.
I'm.
You're not doing a good job, just Spender.
I apologize. We did play Brotato last week.
How do you normally? What are French fries made of? Potatoes.
Potato? Wow. Okay. You know what? I deserve that. Brotato was a pretty fun game. I'm looking forward to us playing another round next week.
I've seen that game around so much. Just I haven't even ever seen gameplay. I had no idea that it is basically a Vampire Survivors type thing.
Hmm.
I always just assumed it was some like 2D side-scrolling shooter, but it is fun as shit.
Yeah, it's
So
it's super hectic.
Yeah,
And I'm very surprised at the amount of characters that they actually have in the game. So yeah, like I'm pretty sure you can have some crazy builds, and it's just hectic fun. And I feel like whenever the 4 of us get together and we get to play a game all together, I think it's always fun times. So yeah, no,
It's low
Definitely enjoying
stakes,
that.
right? It's low stakes, which is what I like.
Yeah.
You hop in, you
Mhm.
start a run, and whatever. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You go through as many waves as you can. But like, man, the bit that we did play, like it's been a long time, I think, that we've had a game night where we played a game and by like 9 o'clock we're not just tired of it, but we actually kind of wanted to keep going and eventually we just had to stop because it was getting late and not because we were just sitting there bored.
Yeah, for sure. And
The game
I
costs like
also,
$6. It's like
yeah,
six
that's
bucks
the
Canadian
thing.
on Steam, so it's probably like 75 cents American for you guys out there. So, you know, give this game a go for sure.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like the fact that only one person owned a copy of the game, and we were able to just kind of play,
Yeah, that's true.
from his one copy was also pretty amazing. But what about you? Like, have you been playing anything new since Clay Obscure and
I
Doom?
I've been playing a couple of things. I've definitely put a bunch of time into Revenge of the Savage Planet. So this was on Game Pass that I've been playing it.
Mm,
And I knew nothing of this. I know it's a sequel to a game. I forget what the first game is called. If it's just, I think it was Journey to the Savage Planet. But very very cool, very fun game. So essentially, it's a Metroidvania. It's a third person platforming with actually very good platforming, exploration, resource gathering, and every it's just it's roguelike in a sense. Where the whole story is you work for this company, you crash land on this planet, and then you realize, oh, I've been terminated now from this company, but you're trying to get off the planet, and you just run around and you explore and you gather resources, and you have this like AI bot that kind of follows you around and helps you, and it's Metroidvania in the sense, obviously, that there's a lot of areas that you get to at first that you don't quite have a chance of clearing because you're either missing a piece of equipment or you're just not powered up enough to deal with the enemies that are there, so you have to come back to it. There's different planets. The game has a great sense of humor. It's
mm.
very much, every time you walk into your base, there's like a giant TV screen in front of you, and there's a whole bunch of commercials that are always playing, but the commercials are all live action, and they're all just sort of like these wacky. Think like think like if Randy Pitchford wasn't a joke of a human being, and this was like a shtick he was putting on. Like, think that kind of level of humor, which admittedly, especially with the AI bot, it sometimes gets grating, but there is actually an option which I appreciate where you can reduce the level of chatter that comes out of it. So it's not always just like spewing out lines as you're trying to explore.
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool. It's a very like cheerful and colorful world, which is kind of really nice. And it's not just like drab and you're trying to like survive. And even when you die, you drop your resources, but it's just a matter of getting back to where you died, picking them back up. The game can be played in co-op, which I think it's probably meant and best experienced in co-op. Um, Animations, top notch. Love the animations in this game.
Hmm.
Like when I first started playing it, and I was like, okay, let me kind of give it a go. And at first I was like, okay, like this is fun. I don't know how much I'm going to play it. But then the second he starts walking around your character and you press the run button and his running animation kicks in, you're kind of like right away for some reason that alone gives you like a good idea of the tone of this game. And I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? I'm down for this. And that alone almost made it that I gave it more of a chance than I might have. And I really, really like it.
Hmm.
If you guys are down to download it on Game Pass, I think it's something that would be very, very fun to play co-op.
So, how many people can you play like co-op though? Like, is it like a three-player co-op, four players?
You know what? I haven't even been able to play co-op. I don't
Mm.
even know. I'll admit. I mean, obviously, at least in like two, but um,
And
yeah.
in terms of like the humor, because like that's one of the things that kind of I was also curious about. Is it Does it land the humor, or do you feel like
I mean,
sometimes it's
yes and no, but
overdone?
obviously, it'll land. Some of it will land. Some of it's gonna be just falling flat. It really depends on your personality and what kind of humor you enjoy.
Hmm.
But the humor is in line with the overall tone of the game, right? So you look at the game, you look at how all the characters and all the creatures and the worlds are designed, and it'll give you an idea of the tone to kind of expect. I don't mind it. I think it's fun, and I'm always up for something a little lighter and not necessarily like just playing these games where you're constantly miserable or they have these like darker tones. Like
Hmm.
this is completely like an antithesis to something like Elden Ring, but without kind of going overboard and being like over the top in like SpongeBob levels. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of
Yeah.
strikes the right chord. Yes, sometimes it'll fall flat, but I think the
So
overall game is so enjoyable that it's easy to look past that.
okay, so yeah, I mean, it definitely piqued my interest. But like, what kind of gamer do you think would enjoy this? You know, just
I think everyone, honestly. I mean,
okay.
I think if you're, you know,
Sorry about that.
it's all good, man. We kind of started talking. We just moved on to what we're playing. So I'm talking about Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, I think everyone can find enjoyment out of this as long
Mhm.
as you're someone that enjoys Metroidvanias and you don't mind kind of exploring around a little bit with the risk of dying. Which even then, it's not high stakes because again, you just have to get back to where you were, which is usually not
Yeah.
very hard. There's a lot of like creatures, and all the creatures are very I like their designs. They're very sort of like Disney, Pixar-ish, but not like overly childish. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
a childish kid, haha. Um, but overall, like it's all just very fun. There's a whole mechanic around capturing the creatures as well. You capture
Hmm.
them, you research, you perform research on the creatures, and that unlocks certain. Sometimes it'll unlock an ability. Other times it'll just unlock like color combinations for your outfits. So you can kind of customize the way that you look. But no, overall, I think everyone's gonna find something to enjoy in this if there's anything in those genres that you like.
Yeah. So, and just to confirm what you had said, yeah. So the game does include co-op. It allows two players to explore the game together. So it's online co-op, split screen co-op as well, and it's also crossplay. So yeah, I mean, it definitely piqued my interest. I'll definitely have to check
I
it
mean,
out.
honestly, yeah, give it a go. It's not a very long game. There's not a whole lot to it. It's not something you have to like heavily invest in. It's just I was looking for something to play. I didn't. Nothing was like really striking my fancy, and then I was like, this looks like it's low stakes. Let's try it out. And I actually ended
Yeah.
up very much enjoying it. Um, and there is actually another game that I've been playing. And before I tell you guys what this is, I need
Oh,
you both to just really quickly stand up for a second.
I
Just
don't like
just
where this
just
is
just
going.
follow here. Just do
Okay.
it. Stand up.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so
Oh.
before I tell you what this just stand up, it's fine, don't worry about it, you don't need to squat. Alright, so before I tell you what this is, guys, you might wanna sit down.
You
I,
bastard.
I I hate you so
I
much for this
seriously,
stupid.
man, this
Oh
guy's
God.
I
making us
have
work out
been
here.
I have been playing and enjoying Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
look at that. Okay, so and
Okay.
like we're not gonna go into like a whole history lesson and whatnot, but you did not enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2 the first time, right? Like you called it
I
what is it,
w I
Cowboy Simulator or something?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. So
I said it's basically just cowboy simulator, that it's not fun, that this game feels like work, that I feel like I have to basically punch in before playing this game because it's literally a fucking job. And
mm,
then I don't know, man. I think the last time I truly played this game was when it launched, right? 2018.
Hmm.
So it's been what, like let's say it's been what is it, 7 years now or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, a lot of discourse has happened with this game since then. I've kind of had time to look at it and be like, okay, you know what? I know what this is now. I kind of and the entire reason that I'm enjoying it a lot more, I think, is I'm just going into it with a completely different set of expectations. Right? Because if you play Red Dead 1 and you go into this, it is very jarring, I think. Especially not knowing what this game is. Because Red Dead 1's a lot more lax than this game is. I'm not saying it's GTA level, but it's not this game level. But
Mm,
then, knowing what to expect now and what the seriousness of this game and just how it takes everything very, very serious, it's that's it. It's expectation. I know what this is, and so I kinda surrender myself to it, and I'm like, "You know what? Let me experience this game, and I'll meet it on its own terms." And I'm enjoying it. It's actually pretty fucking fun. If you just I haven't, like, taken my time with a game like this, I feel, in a long time because every time I'm either just roaming around the world or I'm on a mission, there's always something that'll pop up. Someone's asking for help on the side of the road. There's some event happening, and you're like, "Oh, kinda what is this?" And you go and you explore, and some of the time, it'll definitely be frustrating because you just basically end up dying in some way or another, but it's for some reason not frustrating, and the world is just such a joy to explore because the whole pace of the game is so much slower, right? Because 'Cause you're on a horse, first off, but then second, it's not GTA, it's not like cars racing around, big cities, people, it's calm, it's serene, you kinda appreciate the scenery around you. The game, especially running it on the rig that I have now, is absolutely gorgeous. Like for something that especially came out in 2018, like it is just, you know, peak beauty. But I don't know. I'm eating it on its own terms, and I'm like, fine, you know what? Do what you will with me, and I'm having a great time with it. I've already
Well,
put in like 12 hours doing almost nothing in terms of the story, like just sort of every time I start a mission, something else will entirely take my attention away, and I'm like, okay, let me just kind of go do this real quick instead. And then, I'll have entire play sessions where like I haven't actually progressed seriously through the game. I've just been doing some random side stuff, and I think it's still really fun. I'm not trying to rush through it because normally these days with the limited time I have to play a game, I'm always like, okay, let me just get to the end. But that's not what I'm doing with this because
Mhm.
again, I think that's part of the process. You can't rush with this game. And yeah, having a great time.
so
Well, it's interesting because I think that shows that. Well, again, I think you mentioned it as well. Like you're playing the game on its own terms, but I think it's also like you taking a break from it and coming back at it. I think it's just maybe a question of like time and place and just being in the right mood, right? Like
It's
sometimes
also
it's like,
definitely it's
yeah,
definitely also the mindset, right? Because
yeah,
if you look like back in 2018 when I was playing, video games then, I had a lot more time, but even then I'm just sort of it's also the kind of things I wanted out of a video game. Is when I was looking for Red Dead 2, I wanted do what I was doing in, let's say, Red Dead 1, like just go randomly if I want, shoot someone in the face because they annoyed me, lasso them, put them on the back of my horse, find some train tracks, leave them there, watch the train run them over for fun, go
mhm.
do other missions and stuff. Whereas here it's like you just bump someone in the shoulder, and then if you don't diffuse that situation, you get into a fist fight, and then the whole town is pissed off at you. Or, at one point I knocked the guy out because we got into a fight, and then I just get on my horse and I accidentally just step over him with my horse, and then that killed him, and that made it that I was a murderer. And then I had a bounty on my head, and I had no shops would want anything to do with me unless I went and paid my bounty. And like, I'm not saying I think there's definitely some parts of this that will kind of become grating over time,
Mhm.
but knowing what I know now about what this game is and kind of how I have to approach it, I think I should hopefully be able to kind of just give it its due diligence and see it through to the end, unlike in 2018 when I was more, bang bang and just give me that kind of action.
No,
so
that's
what changed you? Like, what finally clicked? What made you one day wake up and be like, I want to try this game again?
I mean, I saw that it was $20 on Steam,
Well, that'll
and
do
I
it.
don't, and I had wanted to give it a second go.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I have a rig that can run it and it'll run better than it did on PlayStation. So,
Mhm.
because as it is, the game is, it's a bit of a slow game, right? So when you're
Right.
walking around, all the animations and everything, it's kind of, it's how do I even it's heavy, right? So
mhm.
sometimes it feels like your character's underwater practically because it's like you walk into a house, he's walking real slow. You know, if you're searching through like a dresser, he will literally, and the animations for this are done, he will open every drawer individually and you have to search every individual drawer kind of thing. Like that's
Right.
how meticulous the details in this game are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just knowing having seen some gameplay, having read online about how this game affected other people and how they thought it was like one of the greatest narratives they've ever, experienced and everything. And I was like, I'm kind of ready for something a little more slower paced right now. And I don't know, maybe it's where I am at in life, and I'm just a bit more of a, I want to say, calmer person in a sense. I don't know. I was just like, I think it's time to revisit this, and I'm gonna do it with you know, I'm gonna let the game do what it wants, and I'm gonna be along for the ride, and I think it's a good way to approach it, and I think I'm glad I did give it the second go because this is the kind of thing that we should do is, revisit some games, I think, and just kinda see how we've changed and how if we can look at them differently and end up liking them, whereas before we didn't.
That
I
kind of
think
ties
it's
in with our discussion question, I guess, which we'll talk
basically,
about
yeah, which
later.
we'll kinda get
Yeah.
into later, but I mean, hey, it's always good to know that you can grow in that sense, I guess, right? And you're not just stuck in your ways.
Taz had like a moment
A
of growth.
gaming
An
epiphany, I
epiphany.
guess, if you will.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I mean, it's been on my list too, and I also had the same feeling initially when I played it, but the fact that it's $20 on Steam, I guess I can just kind of leech it off you
No,
when
you
you're
can't.
well,
done.
it's not even gonna cost you $20.
It's
It's
Rockstar
$0.
Launcher, so you have to buy your own copy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's on
Okay,
Steam,
all
but
right.
it'll because it launches Rockstar, kinda like how Assassin's Creed launches
Yeah, yeah,
stupid Ubisoft Connect.
Yep.
lovely. All right, Manny.
Yeah.
On my end, I've been playing Oblivion Remastered. Um,
Did not take you for an Oblivion guy, honestly.
I I'm surprised
I
myself
don't. There's not a
considering.
waifu in sight in that game, as far as I'm aware.
Have you not
Wow.
seen the lizard woman?
Calling shit. Oh my god.
No, but like I, I'm surprised myself because like I'm the guy who never even got into Skyrim. Tried multiple attempts to get into it, and okay. So funny enough, the reason I got into Oblivion, it's because I thought it was a Morrowind. And so, because I think remember one of you guys had a copy of Morrowind on the OG Xbox, and I remember coming over, starting the tutorial, and I'm like, I kind of want to replay that game. So I booted up Oblivion of all fucking games, and so, I kind of stuck through it and started playing it. And my God, does this game have so many technical issues in terms of bugs? And
Okay.
so there's so many times that I either load back my save, try to find a fix, and a lot of these fix it ends up like you having to type something on the console in the game. But the problem is I'm playing the game on the Xbox and I don't have access to the console, so there's always like other workarounds I have to find. Like at one point I'm running through the game and I'm like, there's like I find like this armor for like as part of the main story for like the king, and like I eventually get out of that cave, but I noticed that I can't fast travel. I can't rest anywhere. So I'm just like, all right, I got to find the nearest fucking town and try to figure out what I can do. And I look it up. Someone's like, oh, you missed a single enemy in the dungeon, but that doesn't follow you out. So like, what you have to do is you have to steal or attack a guard, go to jail, and the moment you get out of jail, it's gonna spawn next to you, and then you can kill it. Therefore, undoing that like kind of glitch. Things like
Jesus
that is what I had
Christ!
to experience. And so
It's that
I
Bethesda jank, I guess, is what they
yeah,
call
Yeah.
it.
but the game is still fun. There's a lot going for it. There's like you find yourself just exploring all these dungeons, these caves, these ruins, and like off enough, it's very interesting. Kind of some of the side characters you meet and the story elements to it. And at one point, I was fighting vampires and I got a disease and didn't pay attention to it. And 3 days later, I became a vampire. And so whenever stepping out in the sunlight, I would start taking damage. And there's a whole quest line involved to kind of get rid of the vampire curse, which was entertaining in its own way.
Does this make you want to go play Skyrim now?
Kind of, actually, it does. But I think I might go out and actually play Morrowind first before I get into Skyrim. Um,
You know, it's
and
funny. I
even
remember when Morrowind. Sorry, I remember
yeah,
when
go
Oblivion came out on Xbox.
for it.
I I remember playing it, and even back then, I remember thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever seen a game look so beautiful yet so absolutely fucking hideous at the same time.
It's
Like I
just
don't know if you guys have
it's
ever played.
gray and yeah.
No, it's not gray. The characters in this game are some of the ugliest fucking things I've ever seen in a video game. Like the NPCs look absolutely goddamn horrid. The level of bloom was like disgusting.
Mhm.
The environments looked great, but it's just like I don't know. It was like amazing looking environments with some of the ugliest fucking looking NPCs you'll ever see in your life.
And you can kind of remake those ugly NPCs if you want, like your character. But they've
Mm.
really remastered the game, and there's a charm to it, and it is fun. I do recommend it. I do recommend playing it on PC because you're better suited to deal with these glitches. Even the final mission. So I explored probably half the map, like everything to do in half of the map, and it does get repetitive after a while, especially if you're like overpowered, as I was. So I didn't bother with the other half, and so I was like, you know what? At this point, I'm about 60, 80 hours in. I should
Jesus.
probably just finish the campaign. But then I got locked out of the main campaign because the main character that you're supposed to protect just never shows up to the battlefield. And so you have your allies, but not the main character. And it just doesn't start the fucking fight. And I'm just like, after about 3 hours of trying to figure out what to do, I closed the game. I looked up the rest on YouTube and then called it quits.
Gee.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm done.
Oh, Bethesda. I think there was even an article from I think it was like Digital Foundry or something, and they found that in terms of performance of this game, it
Mhm.
was quite literally their assessment was the more you play it, the worse
Mhm.
it gets. And it's not to say that some of the worst sort of issues are later on, but
Mhm.
that somehow it keeps compounding upon itself. And so literally the more time you put into this game, the worse it actually performs.
Sounds about right.
Video games.
Yep. Anyways, that was my Oblivion experience. If you enjoyed it back in the day, if you enjoyed Skyrim, give it a shot. You'll probably have fun. And that's all I have to say.
Oh, it's on Game Pass, right? So
Exactly.
You know what's a game that we're never gonna get to
sub
play?
it up. What's that?
Black Panther.
You know,
Go
okay.
on.
So
First of
obviously
all,
it
who
sucks.
even knew that this game was coming
I
out?
mean, that's it. When they said this, I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, I wasn't even aware that there was a Black Panther game that they were working on.
Wasn't
It
this the
does
same
sound
Captain
cool.
America and Black
No,
Panther? Oh, it's a
No,
different
it's
no,
one.
this
another
is a.
game.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
I never knew.
This was a dedicated Black Panther video game, which, I mean, yeah, I sucks that the studio is closed, sucks that people are out of a job. That goes without saying, right?
Mhm.
But like, what the fuck? This game existed. It's just, and even then, and we read the article. This was by I think Jason Schreier on Bloomberg. This game
Mhm.
spent 4 years in pre-production. Like, I don't know. It's fucking mind-boggling to me that it spends 4 years in pre-production before they get really like the ball rolling on the actual production of the game.
Mhm.
Insane. So
But
executives looked at that and they were like, "Yeah, fuck this." And I mean, honestly, I kind of would have been like, "Yeah, I mean, it
mhm.
that the logic kind of tracks to me." And it's not like Black Panther is this hero that's like constantly everyone's fucking talking about Black Panther. You know what I mean? Like when the movies come out, yeah, okay, but he's not this perpetually. He's not like a Batman or a Spider Man that's sort of timeless and always popular. Like, yeah, he has a fan base. Don't get me wrong, but he's not on like their level. That said, the game did sound really cool though, because there it was a whole thing with like a sort of a variation on the Nemesis system because you're fighting scrolls in this and all that kind of stuff, and you were going to play either, I think it was the playable characters were T'Challa, Shuri,
Killmonger.
Killmonger,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, like some of these other things do sound cool, but I don't know. Overall, I'm like, even just looking at these details, I'm like, I don't know how excited I would be to actually play this game.
But I think the fact that EA even greenlit a single player open world Black Panther game that doesn't have any microtransactions or didn't have any like live service tag to it, to
I
me
mean,
I find that
let's
very
let's not
surprising.
assume that it wasn't gonna have any of
Sure.
that, right? I mean,
But
the
but
focus was single player,
yeah,
yeah, but I
yeah.
wouldn't put it
But
past them to try to find a way to shovel it in there somehow.
yeah, but the whole thing about the Nemesis system, and I know that we talked about it a couple episodes ago about how like now it's like locked in a safe and it can't be used for like I don't know how many years, but I think that that would have been super cool to be able to bring that system back, to bring this brilliant mechanic that we all really enjoyed in the Shadow of Mordor game. So I find it really disappointing at the same time. But I know, like I mean, when it spends 4 years kind of just going in circles and nothing is going on. I understand why leadership, wanted to maybe focus on and prioritize other franchises, but it's not because it's Black Panther and people don't like Black Panther. Like the movie's made like I don't know billions of dollars at the box office, so of course there's a market for this game. I think the potential was always there, but yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Taz. Like, I mean, if it takes 4 years, just and there's no like results or just anything concrete coming out of it, then if I'm leadership, this is I guess a situation where I would say EA wasn't necessarily completely in the wrong, you know.
I'm not gonna say that. I wouldn't go that far either, because I mean, look, in the end, we're not game devs. I don't know
Yeah.
if for all we know, like a 4 year cycle of pre-production could be entirely normal, right? I don't
Is it
know.
though? Because like the one thing we hear about game development, and especially like if you think about like some of the games have had horrible launch cycles, it's because it's always a mess in these times. They can never get their lack for a professional way of saying it, their shit together.
Yeah, but that's always due to mismanagement and not the devs, right? So it's like
Yeah.
why have a whole team suffer if that's the case?
Yeah.
And if it is taking 4 years, then why did it take you this long to go and can the game versus let's say taking a deeper look at it prior and being okay, like obviously this leadership isn't working out. Because in the end, the devs never set out to make a bad game. And let's face it, the devs aren't the ones making the decisions. They're just
No.
the one making the game that make the decisions of
Yeah.
what this game is and isn't and what it'll include is always the higher ups, but they're
Mhm.
never the ones that are
I mean,
actually.
as we've always seen, that the devs and the content creators behind this are usually the victims in all this, because for them it's like a passion project.
But the crazy thing here too is that EA cites that they want to move and invest more towards their sort of, larger potential growth franchises, in this case being Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends, which I mean, dude, what's like? If look at the state of these franchises, the last Battlefield basically fell off a fucking cliff after it came out.
It
The,
wasn't it horribly received
yeah,
on launch. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 2042 was not. Yeah, yeah.
it hasn't recovered as far as I'm aware. I mean, basically, that game may as well not even exist right now. Like, I think
Mhm.
Battlefield 3 and 4 had a higher play count at various points than this last one did. The Sims, I mean, it has its player base, and I guess I can kind of understand. I know that they're working on the Sims 5 at the moment, so like, fine.
And they've been
Uh,
churning out like so many expansion packs for that game, and I can tell you that even if The Sims 4 is over a decade old, people are buying that shit
Oh yeah,
like no other.
there's always
So
going to be a market for those
there's
types
going
of
to
oh
be a
yeah,
market for
yeah.
sure. Skate, I'm really, really scared of because didn't isn't Skate like like a live service game now? Like that to
yeah.
me
So
could be a
After
disaster.
Skate 3, they did nothing with it. Then there was this whole like, I guess we'll call it a social media campaign for lack of a better term, but essentially anytime for the longest time, anytime EA would make any kind of a post, let's say on Instagram, they would have whatever X number of thousands of comments, and literally with no exaggeration, every single comment, regardless of what they posted, was where is Skate 4?
Yeah.
And so they decided to make a Skate 4 and everyone was happy. Then they said that it's going to be basically a free to play, skating slash kind of online community hangout vibe kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, I'm definitely worried for that. I mean, they're constant, they're obviously going towards that because it's another potential cash cow with microtransactions and all that stuff, right? So they see a potential that may not even be there because I mean, let's face it, like is there a community of gamers out there in terms of skateboarding game lovers that are large enough that they're going to get the revenue that they would like to be getting from this game? I don't think so. If companies can release like first person shooters and MOBAs and all these games that are genres that are much more popular and they completely fail, you're releasing this a skateboarding game online and it's kind of a hangout thing, and yeah, for sure there's a crowd for it, but is it big enough to give you the money that you might be looking for? Who knows? I personally don't think so.
I don't know, man. Based on their track record, I'm not really quite sure. Yeah, like to me, like you listed Battlefield, you mentioned The Sims and Skate. Skate is something that could, totally derail and just could be a disaster. But
Do
we'll have
we
to see.
know what the financial loss is with this for like and having invested so much time and resources for the last 3 years?
Probably a lot,
Bro, for sure.
but
If it's a
no,
game that's
I
gonna
don't
be
think I don't think they've released any numbers. I don't think they will. I don't think they have
I
reason
don't think
to.
so either. Yeah.
But then there's also, look, Apex Legends is the last one that they listed too.
Yeah, but
what's
that
going
game is not
That
innovative.
game,
like it
here's what I
it
can
has
tell you about Apex Legends based on everything that I know in terms of how it's been in the news for the last while, okay? Apex Legends exists.
that's
That's
it.
it.
That's it. Yeah.
There's nothing great game breaking.
It's
They haven't had any
last I
tournaments.
heard, it was kind of dying out. EA themselves had said that they're kind of looking towards more sunsetting it because it's just not generating what they wanted, and they've tried, and it's kind of not failed, but it obviously it didn't amount to Call of Duty Warzone or Fortnite money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the way I see it is in their mind, they're like, okay, we're gonna back like the safest bets, and we're gonna have because to me, I don't see them as a company that is creative anymore. Like it's
Well,
I mean,
that's
and
the
it's not.
most of
conversation
these
we
big
have about
publishers
EA
aren't.
constantly. It's they just have their shareholders to please, so they just care about the revenue to at the end.
Look,
I
all
mean,
I'm gonna yeah, and it really worries me, man. Like because like you guys know, like there's a freaking, poster of like the Mass Effect trilogy right there, and like I am so scared for the next Mass Effect game. Like
honestly, I feel like in the best case for Mass Effect is it'll be a good game that no one's going to talk about X number of months after it comes out.
dude, man, I don't know, man. Like there's Bioware is in such a weird, extremely fragile state. You know what I mean? Like handle with
Let
care. You know,
them, yeah,
like
let them.
it's
I want to believe in Bioware. I want them to make a good Mass Effect game. I want them to have that comeback. so we can come on
It
their
doesn't
back.
even have to be BioWare anymore, because I mean, let's face it, the BioWare that made Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 is not this same BioWare. Most of those people are gone, right?
Yeah.
No,
So
but
this is just an entirely different team that happens to be named BioWare. That said, sure, the last Dragon Age was not bad, I guess, but it's not nearly as revered as the previous entries in the series. And I'm really hoping that whatever that weird art style is that they decided to go with doesn't get migrated into Mass Effect. Because like as
I
much as I
wouldn't
want to
hold my
play
breath
in,
for that.
as much as I want to play Inquisition, not Inquisition, Vanguard,
Vanguard, yeah.
Veilguard. As much as I want to play
Oh,
it at times, I
Christ,
look at it
yes.
and I'm like, for some reason, just looking at this game and this weird kind of art style with the character models that they have, deep your camera is like weirdly out of focus. Um,
Oh, you're good.
it just annoys me. He's just like, oh,
Uh,
Just
camera
yeah,
jutsu.
work with me. Work with me.
I just,
Uh,
man,
it's
yeah,
okay. In terms of art style, I think that's a personal preference
Yeah,
because,
that's
like,
like whatever. At the end of the
yeah,
day, if you tell me that this game is amazing and it has a great story and it ties into the other Mass Effects and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this is like the shit," I'll obviously still play it,
yeah.
right? But I don't think it'll be that. I honestly, I do not have faith that they can deliver what we want with this game.
yeah,
And
same.
I would love for them to prove me wrong, but right now they can give me all the trailers and everything that they want. But until the game is out and I see those reviews and I see everyone saying, "Yeah, you know what? This is what we've been waiting for." And even then, I might not believe right away because when Veilguard came out, everyone was like, "Oh shit, this game is incredible." And then videos started coming out like, "Oh shit, this game is actually kind of weird and not that great."
I
I know you
still
liked
very
it,
much enjoyed it.
but did you enjoy it as much as Inquisition and then 1 and 2?
Two was the worst. I enjoyed it as much as Inquisition. Yes.
All right.
I get it. Like EA, at the end of the day, it's all a business, right? Like, but and I don't know, like maybe when we were kids and we were, I don't know, teenagers, we didn't think about like the business end of it. We just played video games and that was it. And I guess as adults now, like we just kind of see all these articles and we see how EA just kind of sucks out the life of every single franchise it touches.
We're
But
like
I
we're like in
don't
an
have.
abusive relationship. We keep coming back to
I
it.
know we keep coming back. I was just gonna say, like we keep coming back, and to me, this focus on multiplayer and live service, like it doesn't. To me, it's not a positive thing for Mass Effect or even other future games because the way that I see it is that they're always gonna want to try to monetize it. So it's like forget about a pure single player experience. Forget about like not having a battle pass. Like forget about just all of that stuff. Like I feel like that they're always going to want to try to monetize, and like I feel like I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm extremely worried about Mass Effect, but
But even Apex Legends, man, like they had this thing they were working on that was a bit of like a Titanfall sort of collab or whatever. That got canceled.
Mhm.
Apparently, there was like another Titanfall game or something that they were working on. That also got canceled, even though everyone's like, please fucking give us another Titanfall game. Like it's just I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I don't know.
but it's,
I
it's
don't
like it's
know
like
EA, honestly. It's just everything that
yeah,
they do just these days just fucking pisses me off. Because at
and
the end
and
of the day, you guys are making so much goddamn money out of like the ultimate teams and all that with your sports games. And it's like, just I don't know, man, make a fucking good video game. Like,
But that's
stop
the thing.
buying up these studios. There's even a
It's
whole thing now where they're closing down Codemasters,
yeah.
and they make like the rally games. They
the
made
rally game.
Dirt.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was them making Colin McRae for a while, and there's the World Rally Championship games. And like, dude, rally racing games are the shit. I love them. I've played a lot of them.
But
And
this is
Codemasters is a studio that has been around since I think like early 90s.
so this is definitely one of those situations where we're seeing these like EA is losing money. People are more, for better or for worse, voting with their money, and just maybe one day they'll fucking come to the realization that what they're doing is
No,
not
they won't.
exactly. Well,
Not as long as they have shareholders. At the end of the day, that's
Yeah,
all it
well,
is. How do we make the most amount of money, right? If we happen to make a good game in the process, I mean, perfect. But I don't think that their priority is first. what's gonna make the most money,
Mhm.
and then okay, let's make this a good video game, and not just like there's no passion projects at EA. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know what?
There's
And
nothing that's
that's
gonna be born. You're never gonna see a Expedition 33 coming out of a studio like EA. You're gonna see
100.
something. What you're gonna see out of EA is executives saw the success that Expedition 33 was, and they want you to do something similar. But there's never going to be a team there that's going to be able to be like, yeah, you know what, we have this wicked idea and we'd love to go through with it, because then a bunch of people in their fucking suits and ties are going to look at their graphs and be like, nope, this is not worth it.
Man, I feel so bad because the next topic is the exact is similar because it's like we're talking about Randy Pitchford and we're talking about them possibly selling Borderlands 4 at a higher price and Manny talking about
If that
EA
game,
possibly losing money, but
dude, if
I don't know
that
if you
game
guys
is
want to
not,
jump in.
I mean, we can go into it right now, and I'll tell you this: if that game is not $80, I will be very fucking surprised.
Okay, so just just to kind of go and like
context would be
not
nice.
yeah, exactly, a little context. So what happened is that Randy Pitchford, as you guys may know, the CEO of Gearbox, responded to criticism about a possible $80 price tag for Borderlands 4. And what he said, and he doubled down on that, is that real fans will find a way to get the game anyway. So not great, coming from a CEO. I feel like you're a CEO of a
Incredibly
company.
tone deaf. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tone deaf, and maybe you should not be opening your mouth. But so that obviously sparked some backlash, right? And what he did instead of kind of backtracking, he kind of doubled down because he tweeted actually for cost sensitive fans, and he talked about how Tiny Tina's Wonderland was available for free on the Epic Game Store. And I believe that he had put the word free like 4 times in all caps, as if we didn't get it the first time around. But it's as if it's like you're poking a bear. You know what I mean? Like
He's out
with
of
a
touch.
stick.
That's all it is.
He's
He's out of touch. First, he makes the comment that real fans will get it, and and look, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not like he's trying to be an idiot. I understand what he's trying to say, right? He's like, look, back in my day, yes, he used that fucking stupid argument, but anyways. He's like, back in my day, I wanted to buy. I forget what this game is. It cost $80. I was in high school, but I worked, whatever, and I made it happen. Okay, well, you know what? The economy is not the same as it was back then. All right, I couldn't fucking pay rent with a box of strawberries and a firm handshake back then. These days, it costs a whole lot of money to fucking pay rent and buy groceries and all that shit. So $80 is still a lot of money right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
and to me,
That's not just, but the thing is, right? He goes, the price isn't up to me, and then he
yeah,
starts rambling with his whole story, and then people get pissed off, and then he goes on to clarify the comments, but then he keeps rambling, and then he
He
does a
calls on his
whole
PR
he does a
team.
whole tweet, and this is like a 500 whatever word tweet explaining his whole thing. And at the end of the day, it's like, my man, all you had to fucking do, if this is what the case is say the price is not up to me. I'm sorry. I just hope that it'll be worth it or whatever. Or we're doing our best to make a product that is worth whatever the price that you will pay for it is.
Mhm.
And that's all you had to do. And then just you wash your hands clean of it and you move on with your life. And this guy is just, and it's not the first time he's put his foot in his mouth, right? And it's like, if you're Take Two, how do you not just, whenever you let this guy out in public, you have a fucking sniper in the opposite building pointing a laser at this guy's head and just be like, you say the next dumb thing and like we're taking your ass out.
Okay,
yeah,
but that's the thing, especially with the controversy with Borderlands 3, they need 4 to do well. And they need any decent publicity for it, not any negative publicity. Sure, any negative
100%.
publicity is still
Yeah, but
publicity. You can make
if
that
you work with
argument,
Randy
but
Pitchford and you want to give your game good publicity, the answer is to not let Randy Pitchford open his fucking mouth.
do you think there's someone on his team that handles his PR, but he's just crying because it's like it's
So
just
so I'm glad you mentioned that, Manny, because okay, look, like to me, there's a fine line between like being passionate for your game project and also alienating your audience, right? So look,
He's doing both very well.
besides, yes, but so look, clearly he believes in his game. Okay, clearly he believes in the devs and he believes in Borderlands 4 and how it's going to, you know, like we're gonna be in their like they're gonna be in our good graces. Once
and
this
we can
game comes
respect
out,
that.
right?
We can respect that.
You can't accuse him of being detached. Like he's hyping the game and he's doing just that, just not in the best way possible, but he is hyping the game. Now, the thing is though, when you're a CEO, and I've never been a CEO, but I do understand that when you're a CEO, your words, they do carry a certain amount of weight, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, you're not like this random guy, like you're not this indie dev, like wearing a hoodie, like chatting it up with fans or whatever. But like, when you tell fans who can't afford an $80 game that real fans will find a way, it is tone deaf, as you mentioned, Manny. It's like, and Taz mentioned as well, right? It's like, fans who might be broke, we're paying rent, mortgage, we're dealing with inflation. We can't justify $80 on a looter shooter,
I mean,
right?
we
But that
saw the
doesn't make.
backlash with Mario Kart World and the Switch pricing, and it's like that's unfortunately where the gaming industry is heading towards that trend, and it's makes sense because the reality is inflation is very much a thing that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and the thing is, but the thing, like, I think that fine, you make a game, you set the price, okay, that's fine, and we'll deal with it. But there has to be some sort of transparency with the pricing. Like, we get it, like, games are expensive to make, they take a lot of manpower, right? Like, it takes a lot of resources. But that is exactly what you need to communicate, not everything else that Randy has been saying, right? It's like, if Gearbox came out and or 2K there, and they were like, look, actually Borderlands 4 cost us I don't know, like $200 million to make, right? This is how much we spent on development and marketing and whatever, and this is the price point that we need to break even, because we don't have microtransaction in it. Like, you know
They're
what I
never
mean?
gonna do that.
They're not.
You're
I understand.
explaining a scenario that, like, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
You may as well save your breath, because this is like, you may as well wish for a fucking unicorn for Christmas, honestly.
That level of transparency, it's never going to be
But what
available.
I'm trying to say is that you can't simultaneously say this isn't my decision, but then also say here's why it's actually good. So it's like, if you don't,
But he's not.
if you say.
Look, I will give him that. He's not saying this is why it's good. He's not saying that. He's saying this is not my decision. But now let me go ahead and also explain to you why I'm an idiot. And then he
Okay.
opens his mouth. Because at the end of
So
the day, yeah, he's CEO, but he's not the end all be all. He still has people that he answers to, right? And now this whole
yeah.
$80 game thing, you're right. There needs to be a little bit of transparency, because in the end, it's not like every game is going to be worth $80. There's obviously a lot of studios now that saw that Nintendo is charging you $80 for your games, and now the floodgates have been opened, and they're like, okay, now can we do this? Can we get away with this? Right?
Yeah.
So they're obviously going to be looking to screw us over. I mean, that's a given, and they'll be asking themselves, okay, so what are the odds that we can get away with pricing this at $80? Take two, and then if this becomes a norm, what's stopping, let's say, Rockstar from pricing GTA at $100 if they wanted to? People will pay that anyways. I mean, hell, if ever there was a game that I'm like, yeah, I guess I'd pay $80, it's probably worth it for all the time and effort that went to it, it's probably GTA 6 coming out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But every studio is going to go ahead and try and price it at $80 now. It is what it is. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but
fine, you can argue that, oh, development costs and this and that. But you know what, man? That kind of sounds like a you problem. If you're spending fucking 4 years in pre-production for your game, and then all this shit's going into it, and you guys are coming out with whatever this video game is, and I'm speaking broadly here, that's your problem. I don't want to pay $80 for a game. I'm not asking you to come out with these behemoths.
right.
If Sandfall
But
can do it and release Expedition 33 and at a quality game at that, and it's at the price point that it was, you're telling me that you can't release similar quality products with these massive fucking person dev teams that you have, and you have to price it at $80? These bloated ass fucking games that you're all coming out with every year, you
okay,
know?
but look, we're at the point now where I can safely assume that most people, your average Joe gamer, can't buy if every game was priced at $80 minimum.
Hmm.
You can't go out and sustainably buy that many games anymore. So this will affect over time, kind of like the gaming industry, because we are going to see overall decrease in sales, I can assume.
Well,
And
yeah.
so
And then the other thing too is like, okay, no, so what do we do in this case, right? We all wait for sales. But
basically,
recently I'm getting notifications, it's like, yo, sale price up. And these sale prices are basically what full price was at a certain point.
Yeah, I was thinking
You
about
know?
the same thing. Yeah.
Whenever I get a notification from like L Babbins on, on Blue
Twitter.
Sky, or I'm not on Twitter, man. I'm not
That's
touching
right.
that app.
Yeah,
Blue
sorry, my
Sky.
bad, my bad.
and then I'll get a notification, oh, this game's on sale, and it's like $65 Canadian. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's not a deal.
Remember a few years back, like during E3, when that was still a thing, we would get like deals where if you pre-order 3 or more games, you get like 30% off every game or something.
Yeah,
I miss
yeah.
those days.
I remember back when I used to
Yeah.
work at EB. This is around like, well, I'm gonna say like 2004, 2005, right?
Oh
At
my
one
god.
point, you would just have brand new. I remember when Katamari Damacy came out, it was like 29.99. I remember when Sega was still releasing their 2K sports games and they released NBA and NFL. They were 19.99, brand new. And
My
nowadays,
god.
the
Back in
price
my
might have,
day.
yeah, back in my day. Nowadays, the price on, you might as well just put a sticker on the on the box that says "fuck you" $sign.
It's not even a price tag. It's just fuck you.
Yeah, like literally.
Oh man. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's yeah, Manny, you want to take it away?
And then you get a sale notification and you check the sale price. It says "bitch, you thought."
Hey, continuing the trend of disappointment
Oh
in the
my
gaming
god.
industry, we're going to start a lightning round. We're going to be jumping from topic to topic. Lightning round is basically we want to mention these topics, not much substance to it, but still might be worth talking about. So the first one is MultiVersus officially closes down and is delisted on Steam. So for those of you
Womp
that
womp. That's all, folks.
for those of you that don't know, MultiVersus was a crossover fighting game from Warner Bros. So various characters come in, like Batman versus Ivy Duck, for instance, and it was like a smash-like game. Are we really that surprised it closed down? Because I feel like there
No.
was a good initial reaction to when the game came out, but then it
Yeah.
quickly lost its steam.
But see, like,
And
very quickly, like the way that I saw it, and no, I didn't play the game, right? Like, Super Smash is fun in its own right, and I get it. But to me, the way I see it is that you can't launch a game with a bang and then just coast. And I feel like that's kind of what they did, like,
Well,
because
first
it
they
really
released.
started
They
solid.
came out with the game, right? And people paid money for microtransactions and passes and all that. And then they
respect.
went ahead and they were like, "Oh, okay, so now we're going to unrelease this. That was actually a beta. We're going to re-release this in a year." What the fuck are you talking about, WB?
Yeah, yeah.
And they never even said that this was a plan of theirs that they were going to do. And so obviously you do this and then the game comes back out. Like why am I supposed to care?
But this is also not the second time it's been shut down. There was an initial release, and then it was shut down in 2022, and then it was relaunched in 2024,
Well, that's what
and
I'm
now it's
talking
shut.
about.
Oh, sorry.
It came out
Mhm.
and then people bought microtransactions and shit that they charged. And then they were like, "Oh, this is the beta period. Thank you for playing. Now we're gonna take this away and re-release it."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the thing though. You can't do that to the fans because especially when you shell out for like a premium pack or something like that, like you do expect some sort of, long-term content. You do expect the developers to be supporting this game for, years to come, right? Like so to me, like I think that's just borderline. That should be borderline like illegal. Like you
Well,
can't
even
just
for
do
this,
that.
they had a founders pack that you could buy that gave you basically character tokens, and people literally have not even had the chance to use all the tokens because of the limited number of characters that were released. So now they're
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
some
okay, so what did I pay you like
shady.
90 or $99 for then?
Yeah, that's very very shady. Like I feel like I'm surprised that there hasn't been more uproar about this.
It's because the 14 people that played this game
Man, WB
are
Games
not.
has just not.
Yeah,
WB Games has just been not having a good year. Like especially like if you remember like the whole Monolith studio shutting down as well.
yeah. Well, exactly.
I don't know
It's just
what they're still doing
terrible.
making video games.
But maybe
Hey,
Nintendo can come and save us from
I
all
was gonna
the.
also be like, hey, maybe we can expect good things from the next MK or Injustice game. Um, Nintendo, however, bringing in some light to these dark times, announced that they're going to be a
Fuck
summer
you
game
bringing
fest.
light to these dark times, charging me $110 for Mario Kart World.
You know what? You're going to fucking buy it and you're going to enjoy it. Okay?
Exactly.
Yeah. You better
And you're
have
gonna thank your
merit
Nintendo
for
overlords.
If your
Fortnite.
copy stops working 3 months in, you have to buy another one.
You know what? I will buy
We
that second
will.
one.
So
Proudly. Give Nintendo
the question
$110.
the question is, I'm kind
Stacks.
of surprised that Nintendo is making an appearance in Summer Game Fest, but do you guys just maybe expect there like to be more third party game announcements, like maybe games that have been released in the past that are now making their way onto the Switch, or do you guys
Yeah,
actually
I think it
foresee
could be a
Nintendo?
combination of that, but then we can also expect Nintendo kind of jumping in the bandwagon of doing some new third party announcements, or like maybe games we're already aware of, but then release more content. Like we've seen that with Xbox and Sony. Like we know some games are third party, but they'll be the ones presenting it, right? So maybe we can see that trend with
But what
Nintendo.
about the more like my question was more like, do you guys maybe even expect maybe one first party title, or is that going to be more for like a separate Nintendo
I
Direct?
think I think this is a positive thing for Nintendo to kind of branch out outside of Direct for announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the directs do build up a certain level of expectations and excitement, and I think them branching it out kind of helps just overall for their marketing. And so maybe we can have that surprise teaser or like that one announcement for some games that they already announced, like maybe something for Metroid or like the Donkey Kong Bonanza or whatever.
I don't know.
What
That's
about it
kind
last
of
week?
it's kind of what it is, right? So when they're announced as a partner for Summer Games Fest, I'm like, yeah, but considering that their directs are usually their preferred method of communication for their big
Mm-hmm.
announcements, I don't foresee anything all that exciting or new coming out of this. I think this is just because that launch is like right around the corner. It's a good way to build up hype. A lot of people watch Summer Game Fest. Like it kind of makes sense in that regard, especially considering all the news, with their console price and the game pricing and all that. Like it's a good way to divert from that and just focus on the actual games and on the
Mm-hmm.
console and on the playing of that and more of the gaming aspect, less of the industry aspect. So I think it's a good sort of diversion tactic almost. But considering it's not a direct, and I don't see why, let's say hypothetically, let's play the game that there's a new Mario coming out, right? I
Mhm.
don't see why they would announce something like that at a Summer Game Fest versus their own Nintendo
Their
Direct.
own, yeah.
So are we going to see some surprises? Maybe some cool third party stuff. Do I foresee anything major first party? Absolutely not. Maybe we'll just get some more details and more gameplay on something like Donkey Kong, a couple more details on Mario Kart, things like that. But they're not gonna announce
This is okay.
anything.
This is
Maybe another 1-2 Switch 2 or something like that. But
this is a weird question. Do you think something like Summer Game Fest could potentially pay Nintendo to make an announcement on their show?
no, because they don't need to.
No, they
They
don't.
have
Yeah,
their
exactly.
audience. There is no more E3. So
Yeah.
by all accounts, Summer Game Fest is basically the summer gaming event, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Key 3, as some people call it, because of Keeley. And then during the holidays, you have the Game Awards. I mean, would it be cool that Nintendo comes in and does some stuff? I mean, for sure, because at the end of the day, as much as, something like the Game Awards is a commercial fest, it is still a
Yeah.
celebration of gaming and
Yeah.
people love tuning in. There was that one year a few years back where they had, Reggie, Phil Spencer, and I think Sean Layden at the time, who was running PlayStation. All three of them came out together on stage, and like that was a moment,
Mhm.
But they don't need Nintendo. I mean, they have all eyes on them every single year, year after year. They're setting viewership records. Like they don't need Nintendo. It's a nice to have, but it's not a need.
Okay. Uh, not much else to throw on my end, Jazz.
No, I mean it's a start. I think in terms of the partnership, and I think it's cool that Nintendo's making a like their presence known there, and I see it more. I see it more as Nintendo being a primary partner for a third party. It's great to be able to see that. The last time that happened was in the GameCube days, right? Like when you had games releasing on the GameCube, on the Xbox, and the PlayStation. So it's great that just more people are going to have opportunities to play third party games. So uh, but unfortunately, this is a news that I was kind of looking forward to. Like I remember talking to you guys about this too, about wanting to get a handheld. I know that Taz has the Asus handheld. Your brother has the Steam Deck. And I was like, I'm gonna wait until Microsoft releases an Xbox handheld, because to me, if Microsoft does this right, and if they include Game Pass for every single handheld, then they have a hit on their hand. And this is how they're going to be able to compete with the Steam Deck and the Switch 2 and any other handheld. But unfortunately, it seems that Microsoft has reportedly paused development of this dedicated Xbox handheld so they can focus on optimizing Windows 11 for third-party devices. So I'm really really disappointed. I know it's not off the table, but I was kind of hoping that they were going to maybe announce maybe a partnership with Asus or another. I was going to say another brand, but I would really trust Asus, and just kind of release a dedicated Xbox handheld. But it
I
doesn't
think
seem like
this
we're going to be
is I
getting
think
one
this
in the
is
near future.
literally the best thing that they could have done. And I
Okay.
mean that sincerely, because honestly, if you look at all the handhelds, whether it's the Steam Deck aside, if you look at the ROG Ally, and if you look at the God, what's the other one called? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Whatever. For instance, I don't know if it's Acer or another company. Anyways, it's the
The
one that
Lenovo Legion, right?
that's it, the Legion Go.
Yeah.
Um, they run Windows, and people fucking hate Windows on a mobile platform. It's
Yeah.
it's not made to run well. It's not optimized very well. Games have been tested and proven to run somehow better on SteamOS than they do on Windows.
It's
So
probably all that bloatware or something in the background that's taking up resources.
so if you're gonna go ahead and release a handheld, and first off, if you are Microsoft, Windows is your product, and then if you want this on third party devices, and you want to release your own device as well, you better make sure that the software is up to snuff, especially with competition like the Steam Deck. So for me, it makes total sense that they want to first optimize this, because as good as the hardware is, if this especially sucks, which is the main thing, it's the operating system. If this is problematic, then what's the use? Especially now that they've opened up Steam OS and that it can come out on, and that you can install it on different devices,
Yeah.
right? And then I think the Legion Go, that I think they recently released a version to the market that already has SteamOS pre-installed. You know, and
Yeah.
this is
So
like,
like you make a good point. Like unless they can fix their own software, like the hardware we've seen Steam like like Steam Deck devices come out left and right now. So it's like if they can kind of monopolize the OS for these devices, then the
yeah,
hardware is
and like
secondary.
this is a market that is still growing, so it's not too late for them to get into it. So for them to
Mhm.
optimize this and then look into it, there's only good things that can come out of it for them. So, it's not like they're going to be, it's not like this has already grown and it's past its prime and now they're just simply releasing their device and it's too late. Like, no, they still have a shot. So for them to do this, great. And the other
Wouldn't it
thing,
be better to sorry to interrupt? Wouldn't it be better just to have its own separate operating system instead of repurposing 11? Because like
yeah, but
That's what I was
what
thinking.
if that's what this, but look, for them to say that they're optimizing Windows 11 for third party devices like the ROG,
Mhm.
it could just mean that they're simply working on a version of Windows that'll run
Sure.
specifically better on this. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be running the desktop variant. You know what I mean? So it could, but maybe that'll be better optimized. Because I mean, hell, I know everyone reports issues. I've had my Ally for about a year now. I never have Windows issues. Like, is it optimal to run on that? Absolutely not. Not unless you're going to use a Bluetooth keyboard and a mouse. But hey, for me, it has worked. But a ton of people gives them issues. It's too
Mhm.
small. The on-screen keyboard, sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the controllers get picked up, sometimes they don't, shit like that. So
Mhm.
like for them to optimize it, great. And then the other thing too is in terms of the handheld market, I mean, let's face it, the consoles, they don't have a shot anymore. PlayStation has won that, but they still have a shot to at least be a very big competitor in the handheld market. Because
Yeah,
even if
it's
Sony was
not
to come out
directly
with,
going to
because
compete
even if
with
Sony
Nintendo.
was to come out with a handheld, right?
Mhm.
What have we seen before? The PSPs, and those are Sony's proprietary thing. It's not like they run Windows, right?
Mhm.
So if you're developing a version of a game, you have to develop a version for Sony's for let's say the PS5, but then you have to develop a dedicated version for the mobile if that's how they want to do their things.
Mhm.
Whereas with Xbox, if you're going to have it running Windows, everyone develops for PC anyways. So in the end, you can go ahead and corner that market. And now, especially because everything is an Xbox and all of your studios that you bought out and they're all coming out with PC releases and console releases day one, people can play it anywhere. So if you go ahead and you make a version of Windows that's great on these devices, whether it's your device they're buying or whether it's a Asus device that they're buying that runs Windows. At the end of the day, if people are enjoying these devices, it's still your software that they're using. It's still a Game Pass sub that they're going to be using. It's more money to you.
Whether it's hardware, software, operating system, it's like it's revenue from Microsoft at the end of the day.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go on to the discussion topic because so just to kind of let our listeners know, the question is, have you ever gone back to a game you didn't enjoy at first only to end up enjoying it later? What changed your mind? And I thought about this for a little while. It's because usually, like, when I start a game, I like to complete it. I'm a completionist, and then I started thinking, like, has there ever been a game that I stopped playing and came back? And funny enough, the game that was the obvious choice for me was Destiny 2, because I remember
True. Yeah.
when I first jumped into Destiny on the PlayStation, it didn't stick. I played a few hours solo. I didn't really get the loop. I just kind of moved on, right? To me, it felt grindy, it felt hollow, and I didn't really understand what the hype was about. I did buy it day one. Manny and I were very excited
You
about
know
it.
what's funny about that? Just a small tangent story to include.
Yeah.
I remember when they had announced the betas for it. I didn't have a PS4 at that time. You did, and I came over
Yeah.
in like so late at night, 11 p.m. or something, and you were like, "I'm going to bed." I'm like, "I'm just gonna stay up playing Destiny." So you were asleep next to me, and I was just playing until like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But that's the thing, right? Like, because it's like I was like excited, like I was like bought into like Euro hype as well. Played it for a few hours, like I said, I didn't get it, right? But then something changed, right? Like everything changed
Can I
when
guess what changed?
Fire Nation
what
Attack.
changed?
You started playing with I guess our friend Paul.
Yeah, well,
And you
the
started playing,
pandemic.
and you started playing with Deep, and then you
Yeah.
realized, oh man, these guys can just carry me all the way.
Oh yeah. Well, besides the fact that they can carry me and I can, also help them out the rare time, it's actually playing with a crew. It's like during the pandemic, it was the perfect comfort game. It became
Mhm.
the perfect comfort game because same people, same fire team, week after week, it just clicked to me, right? Like we were
Yeah.
running strikes, we were doing nightfalls, we were, doing the resets, we were chasing exotics. When we did the raids, right? Like we were six people, and like even if I didn't get the raid weapon, I was so excited when like,
Someone else
Tobias
did.
got it or someone else got it because it's like it's our thing. So to me, it kind of became a ritual, right? And it wasn't just about like the loot or the content but to me it was more about hanging out, laughing,
Mhm.
chatting over voice chat. And again, like the high point to me was during the pandemic because like we couldn't see each other, right? Like but we were always on Discord every single like evening, like after work or something, and we would just kind of be in the tower. And yeah, it just kind of felt like it was like a therapeutic game at the same time.
Right.
So
But more than
so
just that, I think like as fun it is to play with a crew because it's like you have those people like
yeah.
excited about playing with you. I think we have to also talk about the state of the game as well. It's like
Hmm.
someone who's played all throughout Destiny 1 and all throughout Destiny 2 up until like the last few months. It's like it the game has had a lot of lows as much as it's had highs. So it's like, especially when Destiny 1 came out, it's like I can understand someone getting into it, being disappointed, and being like, well, I guess this game isn't for me. Even when Destiny 2 launched, it was riddled with content issues. And I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh, it's been fixed now. It's like there's still expansions, there's still DLCs that suffer from this same issue. And you've seen it
Yeah.
too. And it's like I think you had jumped in the perfect time into Destiny 2 when the player count was at its peak, and then everyone was excited to get on, and especially during COVID when no one was really doing anything else.
And to add to that, and finally, and then you guys can go on to your games. And what I appreciated was that even during the lows or the highest of highs, I think the like you really have to hand it to the gaming community and the developers because
Mhm.
it really did feel like a community, right? Every single week to no fault, they had this week at Bungie, right? They had a TWAB, and that again felt like a way to connect with the fans, right? Oh hey, we messed up, but this is how we're fixing it. Oh
Mhm.
hey, this has to be sunset, but this is what we're doing, right? So it really felt like okay, cool. Like we hear you. We're also changing on the fly. So like we're taking your feedback in and we're changing and we're trying to make the best game that we can with the resources that we have. So I think that too, even during the lows, I still appreciated like that openness. And again, to me, it was about just kind of hanging out with you guys and playing. And to be honest with you, like I miss that a lot. Like I still miss that, like the fact that we were always on Discord. Right now obviously we're older, we have responsibilities and stuff like that, we can't always be on Discord.
Man with
But
child.
exactly, but all that to
Guys, I
say
low key
is
sometimes honestly think back and I'm like, I think I kind of missed the pandemic sometimes. Like,
seriously,
Honestly, I kind of
I
feel
was
like
about
that.
to say,
it was
yeah.
like it
Horrible
sucked. Don't
time,
get me wrong, it was
but
horrible for the world, but my
Yeah,
God, was it just? It was a bit of a golden age for us too.
there
yeah,
was
Like,
it
no
was something
kidding.
so nice when we were all working from home. Well, some of us that did still have a job, but it's like the moment um you would log off of work and then you look over at the Discord, everyone just gets
Everyone's
online.
on, man.
well,
Like
that's
six,
it,
seven
man.
people like
Yeah,
lined up, and it'd be fun
And you
times.
knew,
Yeah,
and you knew that it was consistent because you knew that there's no way anyone can have plans because it's the
yeah.
fucking pandemic, right? So you
Hmm.
knew that come like 6 o'clock, the crew is on, and it's just even if you're not playing anything, let's just chit chat, shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Like it was for that alone, it was such a good time. Because I mean, I'm not like a super go out and do shit all the time person, anyways. So for me, it was like, what? I got to stay home. Oh no, okay, and just oh man.
yeah.
Remember we did that watch party for The Room?
Oh my
Oh
god.
my! Why were we
Let's not
watching
even.
the dumbest fucking movies during the Mortal Kombat 2?
Oh, so great.
Yeah, yeah. Or what was it? Ip Man
Dude, we
4.
did a watch
F your
guys,
Chinese Kung Fu.
guys, we guys, you do understand that we did a watch party and watched the entirety of the Snyder cut? That thing is like 18 hours long.
That was really fun though.
Like
Yeah.
we're never gonna do that again.
No,
Someone,
never.
some guy somewhere is gonna have to eat another bat because just take one for the team, man. Just be a
Or
homie and
or or if you're a conspiracy theorist, grow this in a lab somewhere. But anyways, we're not going to
whatever,
talk about
man.
that.
Just look,
Manny,
it's a fine
yeah,
line. Just don't
yeah.
don't take us into The Last of Us. Just take us into the golden age of like mid 2020.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. For
Manny,
me,
did you have a game? Yeah.
yeah. It took me a while to think about a game because, like, kind of like you, I'm just like, if I commit to a game and I play it, if I don't, I kind of just don't come back to it. And I think the exception to that are MMORPGs. Sometimes it's just like you're not in the mindset to play that game, or you're just not craving that type of gameplay. And the one that, when I thought about it and it came to me, I was like, of course it's this one, Final Fantasy 14 online. If correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong, that's the online
Yeah,
MMO. Yeah, A Realm Reborn. And so I remember when that came out, I
I
tried it.
remember
There was a
one.
lot of hype, and but there was also a lot to dislike about that game too. If you're not used to those type of MMOs, because unless traditional MMOs like Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft, that one is more of a single player game with MMO like elements. And so I oh my god. Do you want to read what you wrote in the chat for like no one that's gonna
Who's gonna even know? We live in Montreal. I just wrote STM presents a Rem Reborn.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Anyways, so
it's okay. It's late.
yeah, I tried the
Nobody's
game
watching. It's just the three of us.
and I couldn't get into the game. And eventually my brother really got into it. He tried convincing me for
He has like
years.
1,000 hours in this
Oh,
game.
100%. He's like up to date with all the expansions. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? It's time I re-download the game, just finally give it a shot. And something clicked. I blazed through the vanilla campaign, and then I forgot what the first campaign was called. Played that as well, and then it was surprisingly a lot of fun. I got hooked into it, and like over 200 hours easily, and then I was invested, and that's the game. I don't know how to tie it together. Like I'm
No,
rambling
it's
here.
all good. I'm glad that you're able to give it a second chance. I'm sure you were happy you gave it a second
Oh,
chance.
100%. Well, yes and no. Like social life down the drain, but mentally really happy with the game.
Yeah. Taz, I know for you it's probably Red Dead Redemption 2 because you kind of alluded to it, but did you have another game that you didn't enjoy and then you went back to it, or is it
Honestly, I
really?
think Red Dead has to be the biggest title. I
Yeah.
mean, I never have a game. I When Red Dead 2 was coming out, I pre-ordered it. I paid full price. I had it downloaded, and then I remember the night where it unlocked, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, okay, it's the beginning. It'll be slow. It'll kind of get better. and then I get out of the initial area, and I'm like, "Okay, this is still really fucking slow." And then it's just like, "Okay, like, when can I shoot someone? I don't understand. What is this fucking game?"
Shoots his horse instead.
And then just yeah, eventually, I think I played, like, 20 hours of that game, and I was just like and I got, like, pretty
Yeah.
far into the story, and then, I don't know, at some point, I was just like, I when I realized that I had to force myself to play that game, I was like, "Okay, it's game over."
Yeah.
And, whereas now it's like I said, I'm just like, "Jesus, take the wheel, man." I surrender to it, and I'm enjoying it for what it is, and I'm almost 20 hours in, and I'm, like, nowhere near doing even the first portion of the story, like, I'm just experiencing that world, and,
Mm.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just mentality has changed, I've changed, what I look for in video games has changed, and so I think it's not the game I wanted back then, but it's kind of what I'm looking for right now for the moment.
Mhm.
Because at night, like I said, I have, let's say, an hour, hour and a half sometimes to play a game. Lately, I've also started, like I was talking about Revenge of the Savage Pond earlier, but I started Doom when it came out, and it's really, really, really good. But I just have not been able to get myself to want to play because at the end of the day, I am tired and that game is intense. You turn it on and it's just like, rock music blasting. And mind you, I love rock music. So it's not even like it's that, but it's sensory overload, whereas Red Dead, you you just, hop into the campaign and it's just serene and you kind of experience it at your own pace. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's the game that fits my lifestyle right now, and that's kind of what it is.
No, I get it. I was just thinking the same thing. It's like when I'm playing, for example, Clair Obscur, and like I love that game, but sometimes I only have like an hour, and I'm like, well, god damn it! Like I feel like I'm gonna be doing like just one tiny little portion, and I'm not gonna get into it. I wish I had like more
Well,
hours
the
to
thing with
play.
Clair Obscur when I was playing that, it wasn't even that. It wasn't that. It was for me. It was more literally that limited time because I was like,
Yeah,
I can't afford to get stuck in an extended sort of gameplay session because this like follows whatever, or there's some cutscene at the end, or some big thing is happening because like I need to absolutely log off at this time and get to bed because I have shit to do tomorrow.
Mhm.
You know.
yeah, same.
So,
Yeah,
it's always like, what's the right amount of time that I can put into this so that I can get to a point where I'm like, "Okay, now I can end the session and I can pick up where I left off," versus, like, there's so much happening right now that it's in the middle of a dungeon and I can't save or whatever have you, but
yeah.
that game, yeah.
Hey, man.
I just thought of a quick game. Mention Mass Effect.
Oh,
Just thought
yeah.
of it right now.
It's true. You did replay them
Yeah, because I
recently.
remember you guys had Mass Effect growing up, and I tried playing it, and I just
Mm.
never clicked with me. And I think that was uh, a product maybe not for my age. I was a few years younger than you guys, and so like, but when I got the Xbox Game Pass, it was on there, so I'm like, oh, let's give it a shot, and then blazed through all three games in like 4 weeks.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like back then when they came out, you were very much into Japanese role playing games, and Mass Effect when it came out did kind of revolutionize more of the Western RPG games. So I'm kind of also wondering if you were still in that JRPG mood, and then shifting to more Western, you're like, okay, yeah, this is probably not
Probably.
what I expected. I'm kind of wondering, yeah. So but that's
I
the
think
thing, right?
I think
It's
the
the
game
right
had
mood,
some more
timing.
adult themes to it. There was a certain complexity to the story, to the characters, and I think I wasn't able to appreciate that at that age.
Man, I mean, I don't know who's been thinking about these
This question
well,
wasn't me.
Taz wrote Shepherd Kun. God damn it, man. But yeah, I don't know who thinks about these discussion topics, but they've been great, man. Like it's uh you know again,
Uh,
this definitely made me think for a while. I'm like, god damn it, I can't think of a game that I stopped playing, and then I went back to it.
It's
But
funny. Ever since we got the Stash app that keep track of our games, I've been finding more and more games that like I completely forgot existed or that like
same,
I've
yeah,
played over the years.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Taz, you wanna? Oh, deep sigh.
I just wish I had more time to play, man, that's it. Sometimes I look at my daughter and I'm like, "I love you," but I'm just thinking about Expedition right now.
Oh dear lord.
You have to wait for her to get at that age where we can just hand her a controller that's not plugged
That's
in
true. That's true.
I don't
and
know,
have.
man. I don't know when that's gonna be. Even now, we don't let her even look at the TV screens. Like there's times where she's kind of like facing us, and you can tell she'll very coyly kind of look back and try to see what we're watching. We're like, nope, no, you're not. You're not gonna be one of those kids. I'm sorry, no screens for you.
Trying very hard not to have an iPad baby.
Oh
Yeah,
my god, dude.
exactly.
I am
Well, I
absolutely. I
remember.
refuse to have an
Yeah.
iPad, baby.
Yeah, well, when you go to the grocery stores and you see just like a bunch of kids like on phones and whatnot. I mean, I feel like we're like aging ourselves and we're kind of
Oh,
like,
100%.
You're not
but all
allowed.
that to
Fuck you.
say,
You're a child. You don't need to be on a
it,
phone. You don't need to be on
yeah,
an iPad. Look at the world around you and be bored. I get to be on my phone and my iPad because I've lived this shitty life and I've gotten to a point where I fucking deserve
My
to
God, Manny, are
distract
you okay?
myself in the world
are
of
you,
a screen.
do you want to talk about it?
Maybe next
Actually,
discussion topic.
episode 9. Stay tuned.
Episode 9, just delving into my psyche.
Oh dear lord.
The dark episode.
All right. On that note, thanks for tuning in into another episode of Night High Score. If
Oh,
you
by
guys
the way,
enjoyed it,
his girlfriend and brother are not the same person.
thank you.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
They were wondering that for a few episodes. You guys can find us on Blue Sky at Not Quite High Score. You guys can also find us on Twitter. You guys can send us an email at notquitehighscore@gmail.com. And you can see our faces over on YouTube, as well as listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and then wherever else you can find the podcast.
You can just
Thanks for
Google
listening.
us.
Or Google us. Yeah,
You
Not Quite High
can
Score.
Google us as Not Quite High Score or even the Bloodline, as we're now called, and then that's it.
Raise your finger up, Manny.
Manny, we're number one.
Like that.
All right, bye.